I just want something quick and dirty is a phrase that normally fills learning and development professionals with a certain level of trepidation, or in my case, some seething resentment. But why is that the case? There we go, fabulous. Firstly, I suppose because if we have a key element or a key value that we bring as a profession, it's around asking the right questions. So just give me a little wave if you've ever gone to a stakeholder and they've got a solution fixed in their mind already. Yeah? Sweet, thanks. It's not at all surprising. So people will want a workshop run up, or they'll want an e-learning module, and maybe they haven't necessarily asked themselves, who's your audience, what do they need to know, do or be, or even, God help us, what problem are you looking to solve? So I don't think we're all necessarily type A people, but we're all about the analysis, okay, and that's the value that we really bring. I suppose the other thing that if you think about the triangle of quality, time and money, I don't want to spend the taxpayers' money more than I absolutely have to, but my emphasis is really on quality, and our team's emphasis is really on quality. I want the sort of learning that has more value for the individual and in a nirvana for the individual and the organisation than if you'd just taken everybody out for Chinese food. So it's really important to us that we have real value with that. So that's why I think the quick and dirty tends to be a bit anxiety provoking for us. Oops, other way. Okay, people remember the coups? Yeah. So this was the situation. As you know, November, Kaikoura earthquakes, and MD was closed for 3 days while our building and our CBD was deemed safe. When we went back into the building, the first thing that our emergency response team wanted us to think about was how can we provide our people with support around managing themselves, their families, their mental well-being in a state of emergency. Okay, so actually having lived through the Christchurch earthquakes and the Kaikoura earthquake, I was really quite married to this idea and wanted to do a really good job around it. Of course, when I spoke to my stakeholder, their first thing was, we'll do a little video. That's what we'll do, we'll do a little video. We're all over the video. But actually the questions that we asked were, well, why? To what end? And my memory from Christchurch, I suppose, was at that time, and anybody from Christchurch this will resonate, there's so much information coming at you. There's information on the news, there's information on websites, there's community stuff. To try and cull through all the different messages you're getting is quite tricky. So this was our solution. This is the solution. So as you can see, it's not the flashiest of flash things. It's not an Articulate module. It's certainly not a video. It's a text-based course with some visuals that was embedded directly into Totara as a system. Okay. It has 4 topic areas. The first 3 were the key ones. Each topic area had a task attached. And as you can see, there were some pretty visuals, but we've done nothing about those, and I'll explain where they came from a little while later. From go to woe, so from first request to being available to our staff, was 5 working days. So it was pretty much all I worked on during that time, and I got quite attached to it, as Peter will tell you later. But it really did have a very quick turnover from the stakeholder request to the time that staff could access it. So what did we learn about cleaning up the quick and dirty? So the first thing we learnt was this was not about retention. I had absolutely no expectation that people would remember what they'd done in terms of this work. The whole point of the course was to engage with the course page and then immediately act. So topic 1 was get you and yours in the right place. Everybody knows where they're going. Everybody knows how to get there. So basically it was a flash wave saying, whānau emergency plan. Right? The second piece of learning we had is don't spend ages trying to figure out how to contextualise it to your own organisation. Pete and I took one look at just looking around to see if there's any other MB staff here. at the 12-page MB policy and family emergency plan, had a little shudder, and then basically moved on. Okay, so what we did was we accessed the work that had been done. Civil Defence had spent years and years, particularly post-Christchurch, figuring out how to create a family emergency plan that was achievable, what sort of language should be sorted out around that, how we work with our literacy levels, how we work with all our nuances and mental wellbeing stuff that happens around a task like that. They'd done all that work. So a lot of our course was about linking people to other information. Almost there. 80% of your value out of 20% of your effort. We really wanted to be able to check out what was the value, what was the 80%. And for that, it was about getting people to do 3 key tasks. To complete a family emergency plan, to figure out what, if anything, they needed in their home disaster kit, and to figure out how to take care of themselves from a mental health and physical health wellbeing sort of perspective in the immediate week or so following a natural disaster. And the other thing that I suppose we learnt was to be clear about our limits. You don't get more than 4 sentences in the course before a sentence says to you, is this the definitive emergency preparedness website? And then in block letters afterwards it says, yeah, absolutely not. It's not. Will it go a long way to keeping you and your family safer than it would have been if you hadn't engaged with it? Absolutely, we really hope so. So for us, we needed to figure out, was worth doing it for the quick and dirty, and what were the things that we really were going to do, and what were the things that we were not going to do. And for this sort of stuff that makes perfect sense, but if I was thinking about doing a quick and dirty with an expert SME, I might need to try and figure out how to get them to decide what people didn't need to know as well as what they did need to know. And my barista from CPIT who wanted people to know about the health effects of caffeine springs to mind as I talk about that. Last bit. Okay, this is Pete's bit. So, as I said, I don't often get to do e-design much in my role anymore. MB's role in L&D team's more strategic. We do a lot of vendor management. We don't do a lot of direct educational design. And I had lived through all the Christchurch earthquakes. So I got quite attached to my little course. I got quite excited about it. And Pete, behind my back initially, and then actually to my face, started referring to it as the precious. So my response was, of course, okay, so this is what we're going to do, Pete. We're going to force enrol everybody into this course. And we're going to give them a nice, quick, easy way that they can unenrol. But everybody's going to get it. It's going to be on everybody's thing. And then Pete said, what did Pete say?
Excuse me. Sorry, I'm the youngest child and an introvert, so I'll use the microphone. So Karen produced this great course page, had the content on it, felt very attached to it. Wanted to force enrol 4,500 people into it. And I went, let's have a discussion about that, should we, Karen? And to say it was a fairly robust discussion as well, which was great, so we can... however, what I said was that so we've got our Wellington staff, which is about 2,500 people, who are not only affected by the earthquake, but by the flood the next day after the earthquakes. We've got our Christchurch bods as well. So you're looking about up to 3,000 people who have been affected by earthquakes. Would this add any more stress by force enrolling them into a course which is going to appear on their learning records and sit there, maybe done, maybe completed, maybe in progress, whatever, So after a bit of I don't know how long it took, it seemed like ages, but and I think we both convinced each other. I think we changed tax. I said, so then we actually went back to say, let's just make it available to everybody and people can just go in there, put it on the landing page. So we put it up front so people go in there so they saw it straight away. It was put on the link as a news article. straight after the earthquakes. So people knew it was there, but we chose to, in the end, what I think was the right decision, not to force enrol everybody into it. And the general uptake was actually really good. People went to the ACC site, they went to, they created a house plan, they did all sorts of stuff. So yeah, so I think overall, within a very short space of time, this quick and dirty course page had worked really well. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, so Pete was right, and I was wrong, something about which I remain continually distressed. So just to summarise again, this was what we learnt about cleaning it up. To keep it about action, I'm not looking to change people's attitudes, I'm not looking for them to retain information. To know your AD and to really frame it for people up early. Rely on what's already there. Don't make it more than it is. Know when it's okay, but also know the limits of it. And that's where, for me, it was really valuable to have Pete there to be able to cut through the clutter and the emotional attachment and say, actually, this is meant to add value, not add stress. And the last thing that I really want to say, because there are people here from the DHB, is what little visual interest and glory the quick and dirty 3 tasks in 3 days course has was provided by the other half from Cantabrian's slides that the Canterbury District Health Board, Healthy Christchurch and the Mental Health Foundation developed, and that they didn't even blink an eye before sharing with us all the JPEGs in a way that was manageable and that we could integrate into the course page, and it really allowed us to frame the learning for the learner in a really quick and not so dirty way. So to the DHB people who are here, thank you so much, it was great. Thanks.